Hi, and welcome to the anime style coloring that we're going to have for this tutorial. Um, I did this drawing a while ago when I was working on the Nine Rings of the Wu-Tang. She was going to be one of our potential villains there, but we never really used her, and we never really used the promo image. So I'm going to use the promo image now because I hate waste. Now I've already flatted it, and you'll see from our accompanying information on the basics of coloring what flatting is and how you do it. Basically solid colors so you can quickly, easily magic wand a selection, and you don't have to go in there and cut briskets or anything like that. You're all, boom, I can start working on the flesh. Okay? Now, the anime style coloring is very stylized. It's not, it doesn't have a lot of shading with airbrush like our regular comic book coloring will. It's mostly flat shapes, sort of defining what everything is. Now sometimes if I'm going to be out rough like this, I'm going to pick a hard edge tool like the pencil tool, and I'm going to pick a little darker shade. I'm going to start kind of modeling roughly with the pencil tool the shapes that I want, and I have to decide, the first thing before you do any of this stuff is kind of deciding where your light source is coming from. That will help dictate exactly where you're going to put all your shading and such. So let's go ahead and get started. You'll notice I have another layer here that's just a copy of my flats channel, so I shouldn't call it channel because it's a layer now. It's a flats layer, so if I need to go back after I've worked on something and easily select it, I always will have that there. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to give us a light source kind of coming down this way. So that would... wait for the computer? Okay. So if we take the arm, the back part of the arm would be shaded. This area up here that's by the hair, that would also be shaded. The nose. Now, normally we don't like to call too much attention to the nose in anime, because normally it's a small stylized nose. Anyway, big eyes, small nose, pretty good sized lips if you do a really sexy one. The head will cast a shadow over the neck. The hand, you'll have the bottom part of the hand will be shadowed, going over a little bit onto that thumb, and the thumb will have its own side shadow. This is a forearm, so we're going to do the underside of that. Now there's a little bit of musculature here on her. She's sort of more of a warrior type, so she's got a little bit of this deltoid going into this trap. Not trap, but deltoid going into the tricep. Thank you. There, I know my anatomy. Okay, and then this little dagger that she has here might even cast a shadow onto her back. So let's go ahead and play with that a little bit, see if that works. Now everything, the good part about computers is you can always change any of this stuff if you're not happy with it. So don't get uptight about, oops, I put that mark there and that's not right and that's not where it should be. You really can play and feel free, especially when you have that other flats channel up here that you could always go back into and wipe this stuff all out in a second. So right now I'm just kind of, again, blocking out so I know kind of where my shadows are going. These are not, since I'm so far zoomed out, these aren't exactly where they're going to be clean when we go in close, as you'll see when we zoom in closer. But it kind of will allow us to just kind of get things moving along. Let's give this a little bit of a shading here on the ear. The lip will cast a bit of a shadow. the under part of the eyelid, her eyelashes, we cast a little bit of a shadow. Over here too. I think there's some areas I don't really have selected in here in these fine areas. Hide the selection. Go ahead and go back to my pencil tool. Go there. And that seems like a pretty good starting place with that flesh. Now I'm going to clean up. I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to pick back color that I had for my base flesh for the mid-tone flesh area. I'm just going to kind of start refining a little bit. Again, you'll notice I'm pretty far zoomed out. When I go into really clean up, I'll go back in closer. Let's go ahead and pick this again. Okay. And I'll see about giving it a shadow all the way, give her a shadow all the way along that back of hers. Now she could have a little bit of a muscle kind of coming in there. We'll see how that works as we go farther along. Let's see. I'm going to smooth out this face shadow a little bit more. And I'm going to have this finger that's coming out more, cast a little bit of a shadow on here. Then I'll go ahead and refine these shapes a little bit so they have a little bit more of a finger shape. Okay, worst comes to worst, we could say we're kind of almost done here with the flesh anyway. Basically, we kind of have our shapes going and stuff. Now we need to start defining some highlights. And I'm going to unselect the flesh area that I had, and I'm going to do these with selections. So her nose would probably get a little bit of a hit. Again, all this stuff is so easy to go back in and fix that I'm just kind of going, a little loosey-goosey, and we'll see what works. And I can always get rid of anything that doesn't work. It's all about experimentation. Alrighty. And now what I'm going to do is pick a lighter flesh. These are our highlights. And I'm just going to fill those selections that I cut. Okay. Now what I don't like going on here is I don't like how that color I picked kind of came out a little too washed out. I'd rather make a decision on, let's say she's being hit with a warm color, so I'm going to warm it up a little bit. Notice I'm sliding into the yellows a little bit more with my color. That's why I usually pick the HSB colors, and always make sure, which I'll see if I'm stupid enough not to have on, have your proof colors always on while you are coloring, because then you know what you're coloring when it goes to print is actually going to look the way you want it to look. Okay, that's a little bit warmer. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. I can live with that for the moment anyway. Okay. Now let's see. Let's go ahead and start moving in closer. And we'll begin to focus on the face and develop that more. Okay. There we go. All right, now I'm going to work on a little bit more of a core shadow to this shadow. So this will be a little darker area as it turns from this way. So it will fit right along here. And it's just going to be kind of a thin little complement that I'm going to do. And again, I'll hide that shape. I'm going to pick and just darken. I'm sliding the brightness down. So now I have like a little bit of core shadow going on there. Okay. I have no selection now, and I'm going to go ahead and refine this blotchy shape that we have here a little bit. There we go. the right color. There you go. And a lot of the colors when I'm working, I will, after I've kind of picked them or created them, will be just picking back from the canvas itself. I'm kind of giving us a little bit of an interesting sort of, I've seen some guys do this, I kind of like the breaking up the shapes a little bit, especially on the highlights. If they get a little bit of sort of interesting. It's all about the shapes when it comes to this style of coloring. Okay, I'm going to clean up here. Go ahead and fix in this ear. I want to fix that shape on the nose to make it a more, see right now it's kind of like a loose shape. It really doesn't help define that there's a nose there, and the shadow gets gloopy too. So let's make this do some work for us. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do another one of those darker shapes to sort of help me define this nose a little bit. Hide the selection. And I'm going to select there, and I'm just going to fill. And I get that kind of a little bit of a shape going on there. Alright, for right now I feel like I can kind of deal with that as it is. Let's go ahead and move on and do the eyes. I always jump to the eyes fast, 'cause when they come together, then everything's kind of working alright. Okay, again, I've got a pencil tool picked, once I pick it. And the eyes will always catch, remember the shape of an eye, and an eye will always catch a little bit. See how I have this darker band up here and a lighter down here? It's the cast shadow from the eyelashes, and of course she has very strong eyelashes. Okay, so I've gone to the mid-tone for the eyeball color, and I'm going to go to a pure white, because the white, you don't want to do pure white highlights on a lot of things unless there's something that's very shiny, and the eyeball fits into that category. So I'm going to give us a little bit of a hard hit there. Okay, and then I'm going to do our irises, give her green eyes, and again here I'm going to go in and start hitting the lighter color. Like that. And I'm going to go a little bit lighter, just like at the bottom, a little dot. And then for her window pane reflection in her eye, I'm going to go ahead and go just with a light cool gray, and I'm going to go with a hard hit of white closer right on top. And we'll do some effects later. I'll show you that will even make that more working. Okay, again I'm with the pencil tool. I've been working with Photoshop 4 too much lately. Okay, now the keyboard equivalents I'm getting right for this one. Let me get this right. You know, you really can use whatever tools you feel the most comfortable with. I think that's the most important way to do any of this stuff. Because you don't want anything getting in the way of your speed and your creativity. If you have to think too much, it always is just going to slow you down, and usually you won't get the really cool stuff that you're after. Okay, so the eyeballs are kind of done. Let me clean this up a little bit. Okay. if I add a little white here down at the base, it kind of gives it that little bit of a wet look to it, which is always kind of nice. Shade in here. Give it a little bit of a highlight. Okay. Again, clean up any little bits that I'm noticing along the way. I'm going to zoom out there a little bit more. Okay, face is coming together. Let's go ahead and do the lips. Magic Wand select, since it's all flatted, which makes it nice and easy. Generally, the top lip is usually in shadow, because remember how it comes out from the face and it tilts down at an angle. So if you're going to do this stuff, you can just almost get away with just darkening this top lip, giving a little bit of a cast shadow from it onto the other lip if it's closed. Give yourself a little bit of a shadow condition here in the bottom. And then go ahead, I'm using the lasso tool and picking out my highlights. Let's see, a little bit of a brighter color. That may be too strong, but again, we'll live with it for the moment and then see what we can do. Okay. I'm going to pull out a little bit of highlight up on top. That, and then also it gives a little bit of a highlight even from the flesh up there. Okay. Alrighty. And we got some lips. Now, I'm a big fan of some shadow conditions, so I'm going to go into our shadows, and we already established that we had a warm light, so I'm going to cool off some of these areas. I'm going to go ahead and use hue and saturation. This is great because you can kind of just see, oh, is this what I want to do or not. Generally, shadow conditions are desaturated. Let's see, does it work a little bit lighter? But I'm going to pull it to make it a little bit lighter too. Okay, so it's warm, light, and then cool shadow, and desaturated in the shadow conditions. So let's see, did we like that with it or without it? With it, without it. Undo, redo. Wonderful stuff. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling that level. This is like an extra level of detail. It's not necessarily, I mean, you don't have to do it, but I think it kind of makes the stuff go one more level beyond. Again, I'm dropping my saturation and I'm going to lighten it a little bit. Yeah, it looks really nice on the lips. It's very subtle, but I think it's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of that then through this whole area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Magic Wand, since it is essentially flat color, all this shadow area that I have. And then I'm going to go in with Lasso tool and just sort of cut the areas that I want out of that selection. Because I don't want necessarily the exact same areas, because that's boring. Okay, let's check this out. I'm going to select, because it's the same color, I like that, so I'm just going to fill with that. I don't like it, it's too strong. It's See, like in these areas, that just came out way too strong. So let's go ahead and go back to our friend hue and saturation and use that to do it for us a little bit. See if I can do something just nice and subtle and keep that stuff. Don't like it too much. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say okay, and then I'm going to refine it with the pencil tool, because I think part of the problem is that we are getting a shape that we don't really want. So I'm going to like lose this area of it. Let's see how this works. Not sure. Definitely will work in this shadow area. Big broad shadow area, but I just don't think it's working on the face. But maybe it's not working on the face because I really need to come back here like this and give us that shape. Give her a strong sort of cheekbone. See, I'm just going over it. I'm just checking it out. I don't do a whole bunch of undos. I usually want to go to the next thing and move on. Because the more things you have to sit back there and, oh, let me try this, you'll just end up trying things forever and you won't make any final definitive statements. Maybe if I add a little bit of that shape stuff that I was doing. There you go. I think that's kind of pulling that together nicely. So that's the head beginning to come out pretty well, I think. I think I'll do a full... The nose and tends to get a little bit of a shine on it, so I'm going to actually go all the way to white to a little bit of a highlight here on the nose. Okay. And let's go ahead and do the hair. Okay. Again, I'm just going to kind of define now my shadow condition with the pencil tool. Okay. Again, knowing where my light's basically coming from. Yeah, I make those superhero noises when I color. I apologize. Zoom, shoosh, whoosh. Maybe that will help somebody else out there. I don't know. Or maybe it will make someone feel that they're not alone. But anyway. Okay. Going in and I'm pulling back in that mid-tone color just to kind of fix off some of my rendering here. Okay. A little bit up here. I accidentally pulled a guide in here, so I'm going to clear the guides. Okay. Alright, that's alright. So let's go ahead and go to the really kind of defining shape for the anime stuff, which is the highlights on the hair. And again, you're going to kind of, through trial and error, find out where these really kind of fit and how the stylization goes. Okay. Being quiet because I'm looking at it and deciding whether I like it or not. I always come back and change it. It's alright for right now, I think. She's coming out. Now again, sometimes it's fun to always, take the color off, see what the plain old line art looked like. See how much work you got going on. Even if you take off the line art, it's kind of interesting too. And you'll have this file as a full layered PSD, so you can, take it apart just like I did and really look at shapes and stuff and see how things come together on it. Okay. Let's see, let's do those eyebrows. I got in there and accidentally grabbed one of those eyebrows when I was coloring the shadows up there, so I'm going to define its shape a little bit more. I'm just going to keep it very simple though. I'm just going to get a little lighter up there with that mid-tone that I picked for her hair color, eyebrows matching the color. There we go. And I'll add the shadow to the other one. Y. Okay. Okay. Now again, you can see how the shapes are kind of gloopy. I can go back in there and just pick and start really sort of defining shapes if I want to, or if I don't want to, I don't have to. But you can see some of the areas where it just gets kind of gloopy. I'd want to fix that. And you can fix with, the pencil tool, or you can do the selection tool and fill if you wanted to as well. Okay, I'm going to have some of that light hit this hair as well, so I'm going to cut out a little shape real quick. Oh, superhero noises again, sorry. Okay. Zoom back out. Okay. Now, if you're really not unsure of the shapes you're going to cut and you really want to be able to play with it more, you can always do another layer. And I'm going to put in an extra layer of highlights in the hair, because again, the hair can be a very shiny place. So I'm in another layer, and I'm just going to cut some smaller highlight shapes in here. And I'm going to pick my color, go to a brighter color, and fill. Okay. I think it's hard to see that, so let's go ahead and use levels. I'm going to lighten it up. Let's see if we like that. And then if you think it's too strong or whatever, since it's on a layer, you can always just, bring down the opacity, kind of make it a little more subtle, or whatever you want. But I think I'm going to go stronger. Let's see, do I like them stronger? Yeah, I like them stronger. I'm going to leave it that way. I'm not exactly happy with the top part of the hair, but I'll mess with that a little bit later. I'm going to pretend her earrings are reflective silver. So So I'm going to move in and going back to my base layer of coloring to the earrings. Now the key to anything that's shiny and reflective is a horizon line. So I'm going to take the top part of a horizon line. And this is, I'm actually going to use the regular brush tool here. Sometimes you'll notice that too in some really nice sort of anime style illustrations where there's like some nice airbrushy soft rendering as well as the harder rendering. I'm going to go to a real softer brush too. And let's pick a bright white at right where the horizon would be, like it's reflecting maybe the sun or something like that. So you can see now how they really get that kind of, they look shiny now. And that will reflect another color in the base, so let's go ahead and lasso this under area. And we do that. Okay. Now again, you'll see little bits and bops as you're coloring. If you slow down and you start really like, oh, I'm going to make it all perfect right in the beginning, again, it's just going to slow you down. So I find it's always best to kind of get it pretty much done and then go back in close and clean up your little bits. Alright, let's see what we got here. She has a little sort of sash thing on her neck. Hide the panels. And I'm thinking about, as I'm cutting these shapes, where my shadow areas are going to be, so I'm really just getting the mid-tones here. I'm going to go ahead and hide the selection and use hue and saturation to get my color in there. So I'm going to get a lighter color with nice red, matching her lips. Okay. And I'm going to cut another shape here. Think about these cut shapes sometimes as stylized brush strokes. And again, I'm going to go a little brighter and bring up saturation. Okay. Alrighty. Let's go ahead into her little dagger here. Again, we've got a dagger and its blade should be shiny, so it will have a horizon line. So let me pick the right tool here. Again, going to the pencil tool. And I'm going to pick this color, bring it right along the bottom part. Right about in the middle. Now I'm lassoing. I'm holding the Alt key, which allows you to do the anchor key as well as having the your smooth selection. And let's pick. There's our little highlight point there. And I'm actually going to go to white too, with a smaller brush, right along the edge. Just a little highlight. Little tiny bright highlights are what defines an object's surface quality. So if it's hard and shiny, you'll have little tiny hard highlights. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit, I'm just going to draw a little bit here on the blade so it has an edge. Same thing over here. And again, anywhere that I'm kind of being slop, I'll go and pick up afterwards. I'm going to pick up the white again, and just at the highlight point here, give it a little white. Okay. Let's go to the handle. I'm going to treat the handle as, we'll make it gold handle. I'm going to give her a gold sort of bodice down there as well. So again, if it's gold, then it's going to be shiny. So let's think about the horizon line. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and I'll use hue and saturation to pick that color. So I've already have it selected, so I'm just going to select right where my horizon line would be. And now that's my selection. I'm going to use hue and saturation. Bring up the brightness. Lightness and saturation. Okay. I'm going to cut another shape. Again, so we're defining the same way I defined in the blade part. And that's the brightest part right towards the horizon on this one. Okay, let's see. Sitting with the pencil tool. Okay. And let's see, what else could I hit this one with? I'm going to give it a little bit. I'm selecting this mid-tone. I'm just going to see what kind of damage I can do with. I want to get some sort of texture in there, so let's see what I can get going here. Just with some sort of shapes that aren't quite this bright, somewhere in between. Just going to see if this will help sort of define this. It's not bad. Okay. Then I'm going to pick this color and give it a little bit on the edge here, a little edge light. Okay. And I'm also going to pull back the shadow because her hand would cast a shadow on there. And actually thinking about that, again, think of how things would cast shadows. That really will help you get the realism to things. Like that would, the blade is obviously raised up, so that would cast a little shadow onto there as well. And then if each one of these notches are a little bit, oops, a little bit raised up, you probably would have a little bit of a shadow on one side, and then we'll highlight it on the other side. Okay. I'm on the thumb now, and we're going to do the fingernail. Just have it match the lips. Again, thinking in terms of a horizon line. Picking from the highlight point I have on the lips. And again, if I want to make it really shiny, I'll pick a pure white and do a very small penciled hit on there. Alrighty. We're getting close. Here she is again. And there she is without color, except for some of the highlights that we put in her hair. So she's coming along the way from where those are her just flatted. Now let's do her bodice. Again, I'm going to pretend this is gold. I'm going to be out here like this. I'm going to pick the same colors from the dagger. And again, think in terms of sort of the horizon. Okay, I'm going brighter with the next one. Again, I'm really far out when I'm coloring this, so I know when I get in close it's going to be sloppy, but I will fix that when I get in close. Okay, and now since both the blade and in fact I'll do a highlight as well on here. Okay, now both the blade and her bodice are both going to be this reflective gold, so they'll be reflecting a little something in that shadow condition. So I'm going to go ahead and give us some sort of shape in here. Same thing over here. And again, what's kind of nice is you could always just use hue and saturation, and you can see what kind of is working for you and what's not. That's kind of working. And now I'm going to do the same thing in the blade. Again, my superhero noises. Sorry about that. And drop saturation and increase the lightness. Thank you. Alrighty, we're getting close. I'm going to go ahead and put some of that reflected light that I was talking about before into or the shadow condition color into this area I got going on here, but I'm going to reduce the wand tolerance to more like 0 because I have the same color here. So, alright. I'm going to pick that color that I had up here, and I'm just going to bring it on down here. And give it a little bit in here. And I'm going to do the same thing here to help us define these knuckles a little bit. In here. And down into here. And I'm going to define this muscle a little bit by that coming there and this coming here. And let's do some little cleanup. I'm going to help define these, maybe a little bit of a shadow here, a little bit of a shadow here. Let's zoom back out. Always remember to save. I'm saving. Okay. Let's see. That was my neck. Sorry about that. Alright, I'm going to go back to that hair. I think I need to add some more structure to it with some of the shadow. So that's what I'm going to try and see if that makes me feel better about it. Okay. Yeah, but now it needs highlights, so let's go pick that. go midtones instead. Give it some midtone shapes in here. Again, let me get rid of... I'm just going to get rid of my rulers. I don't know why I have them up, because normally I design stuff, so that's why I have them up too. And let's clear guides. Okay. And let's pick some of these shapes. Now those are just kind of gloopy shapes right now, but I will fix those as I'm going at it. Okay. So let's see what we got here. If you hear a baby, that's probably my son, Morgan. Okay, so we are really close to being done now. She could use a background, though. And I like it when the backgrounds of the anime are really this sort of cool painted stuff. So let's go ahead and do a painted background on this. Let's see. Now the backgrounds don't need to be as large, so I'm just gonna Control A, Control C, Control New, make a new canvas. But I'm gonna reduce the resolution because if it's gonna be airbrushy, I don't need to have it be full resolution, and I just want to work on it really nice and fast anyway. So let's make the image size. So 100 will be good. So 100. Okay. Now I'm going to just do some nice sort of nebulous sort of clouds. And again, I'm zoomed out so I can just really kind of get going with this stuff. Let's go ahead and shift to the airbrush tool. For some reason this is going as slow as it possibly could. I'll go a little bit smaller brush maybe. Go ahead and take the size off here to make it run a little faster. So let's go ahead and go to the brushes. Take this one, don't need any shape dynamics there, but I will take I'm running a little slow there. Let's see what else we got going on here. Okay. And probably can increase the spacing and make it a little bit faster. We can get into brushes more later. I'll include some brushes on here. I just started building some new ones in this Photoshop from scratch. So. Okay, let's get a little bit lighter color in here. I usually do airbrushing at about 50% opacity because then you really can get a lot more control, I think. I'm using the smudge tool for this stuff too. So you really get more paint. You get some nice painterly effects. Again, we don't really necessarily want a background that's identifiable. I mean, just kind of. We're just looking for some interesting shapes and color, really. So I'm going to be doing some effects anyway on her, so we'll see. A simple background might be nice. That's kind of nice little textural shapes we got going on here. Let's keep that going a little bit. Just let it kind of flow around. Alright, I feel pretty good about that actually, so let's go ahead and resize that. 300. Control A selects all, Control C. And I'm going to go ahead and make another layer and paste it into it. Okay. Let's see now. I'm going to switch some things around here. Alright, so let's go ahead and make this. That's kind of nice with it washed over it, doesn't it? But what I really need to do is I'm going to take the line art and put it back on the top layer. Okay, so there's my line art. Put my line art in multiply mode. And I'm going to go down. And I don't need to see the background now. I'm going to put this into normal mode. And put this guy into normal mode. And I'm going to transform tool, make sure this background really kind of fits better. Okay. Now I have some white in here, up in the hair, so I'm going to get rid of that so I can... It's obviously some pure white I have in this layer, where my color is, so I can select it. I'm holding the Shift key, and that allows me to select multiple areas. And I'm just going to delete, and there I can see through it. Yay! Alright, so, again, we're really close now. Kind of general background in there. But what she needs is now she needs some, like, the pizzazz, the cool stuff. I'm going to save. Okay. Now, up above my line art, I'm going to make another layer. And the layer is going to be in screen mode. And screen mode is what you'll use for most of your sort of glowing or sparkly effects. So let's pick a nice... Give us some highlights. So like a highlight on the sword. A bit of a glow there. I'm going to go ahead and actually go in close. And I will use the lasso tool and make a little bit of a star, little lens flare-y kind of thing. I'm just going to let it kind of fade off. I'm not really hitting the full ends of it. But I am going to go to white in the center of it. Then I'm going to deselect and hit it with a little bit of a hit here. Get a little shiny bits there. Okay. And then sometimes it looks good if you highlight on top of the highlights in the hair. So I pick that same color that I have in the highlight. I'm still on the screen layer. And I'm just taking the airbrush and going over there really kind of lightly. And it really doesn't seem to work, so you can take the eraser and get rid of it. Okay. Alright, now let's go one more step here, shall we? This is the technique you'll use if you really want to get that sort of like soft anime feel to it. Now I'm on the topmost layer. I'm Control A, select everything, Control Shift C. So I've copied basically all my layers flattened into one layer, and I'm pasting it on the upmost layer. I have my flats up there, but just ignore them because again they're there for other reasons. Okay, so you can see what I have up here is I have a the whole thing basically finished and flattened up there. What I'm going to do is, this is a trick, go into Blur, Gaussian Blur, and this will allow you to get that sort of, I'm going to go about, try 11 pixels, okay. What this allows you to do is get that sort of nice sort of glamour photography sort of, it's also an anime thing, that soft sort of focus thing. So I put that layer up, I've blurred it, and now I've composited it at a percentage. Let's go ahead and hide everything. So that's it without it. That's it with it. See, it really has that. So now it looks like more like something from a high-end cell or something like that. Again, without and with. Without and with. And some people like it put on, I have it in normal mode, some people like it put on in overlay mode. That tends to strengthen the colors a little bit, and you have to go up a little bit higher on the opacity to get the effect. But that's another way to go about it. But I'm more after softening, so I want it in normal mode. But maybe you can always copy again and punch up. So I have two of those blurred layers now, and one I have in overlay mode and one I have in normal mode. And I'm going to reduce the overlay one just a little bit because I like the way it was richening, making the colors a little richer. So we'll do that. There's a nice effect I saw a friend of use once, and I accidentally did it on something. I'm going to make another screen layer up here. I'm going to go ahead and put that, because again the eyeballs have reflections too. So I'm going to go ahead and go there. Put it in screen mode. I'm basically picking kind of the color of the sky. Airbrush, just giving us a little bit of a hit on top of our eyes. And then I'm also going to, with pure white, give us a harder hit on those little window panes. Now she has pretty shiny looking eyeballs. And again, if you want, you can always have control over that layer and bring it down a little bit. See a little bit more of those pupils. And then sometime to get some sort of unified color to these things, let's say you weren't happy with the way the colors were coming out, you could always take, I like using, I'm going to go to a cool color to a warm color. So my background color will be that. And I'm going to go ahead and go into gradient. And make it a radial gradient. And I'm going to pull from up here down here. I'm in a layer in normal mode at the moment. Okay, now you bop that into, let's try overlay. A little strong there, but if you bring it down, it kind of gives you a little bit of a cinematic thing going on sometimes. You can mess with the different versions. Sometimes soft light works nicely. Again, if you're just trying to, change things up a bit, you can always kind of mess around with these things. But maybe just a little bit of that would be nice. I kind of like a little bit of that. Without with. Alright. And there we have anime girl number 1. We could add some more shiny things to her and this, that, and the other thing, but I think she is pretty much done at the moment. And then I would normally go in and do my last minute cleanups and stuff. And there you are. One anime style coloring lesson. And of course, save.